Welcome to Massive Beers. My name is Matt. We do the beer stuff here and do a little side-by-side hopeful goodness of a beer I love and something very similar. That's what we're talking about, baby. Got a little bit of Mooey over here. Mooey, Bonn Brewing. Love this beer. Had it multiple times. I think I reviewed it once, probably out of a growler when Bonn first opened. It might have been the first beer I reviewed from them. Then we have over here, this be Mooey on Purple, which is basically The Seed, a living beer project out of Atlantic City. It's their interpretation of Mooey. So it's kind of a collab, but it's kind of them making Mooey their way. I think that's a pretty cool side-by-side. I've been actually chomping at a bit to do this review, but I didn't think I'd be able to get this can. And I know I can get that can, but I didn't have this can, and I got this can courtesy of my boy, Vin. Thank you very much, brother. I skipped out of work early to go to a brewery opening, Autodidact Brewing, close to Morris Plains. He was there, and he's like, hey, man, I got one of those Mooey Seed Jams. I was like, hell yeah. And he's like, actually, later on, he's like, I might be able to get some Mooey. Do you want to do a side-by-side? I was like, actually, I want to do that. Can you please do that? Turns out, unbeknownst to him, unbeknownst to me, both went to Bonn on the same day. Didn't see each other, but ended up bumping into each other online, basically. And I was like, hey, my little light here is not working the way it should. I don't know why. I still have to learn how to function and make everything work. Anyway, he's like, did you pick up some Mooey cans? I said, yes, I did. So here we go. We're doing a review. Mooey, it's their pub ale. This is Mooey on Purple, pub ale, 4.5%. I think they're both 4.5%. I believe so. So we'll see what's what. Let's pour these, put these together, and see what's what. This is just Mooey pub ale. I'm almost positive that, well, I'm not almost positive, I know. This is actually Nitro. It says Nitro, shake gently, pour hard. So we're going to get a little bit different of a beer, I would imagine, just from the nitrogenized portion of the show. Pseudo nitro. I think that's about good. Yeah, label-wise, classic Bonn stylings. Always been a fan. It's the Seed's interpretation. A little Bonn person. Not gonna lie to you, kind of dig both of them equally. So we'll see what's what. As far as the beers look, as you can see, they look relatively the same. You just have a bit more of a haziness kind of going on over here. Coloration is the same. Head looks the same, which is even kind of weirder when you think about it, because one is a nitro beer and the other one is just a base beer. So color's not spot on. This one's a bit hazier over here. Brewing process, the nitro process, could be a couple different things, but they look very similar. See that haze difference there. Give that a whirl. Give that a whirl. See if we can get a head through these gigantic, or nose through the gigantic heads. Yeah, I mean, classic Mooey, which is this rich kind of caramel brown breadiness. This classic pub ale with this nice, sweet brown bready characteristic. A little bit of sweet. Something else beyond that kind of caramel thing. When I say caramel, it's not like an overt sweetness kind of caramel. It's like the caramel, if you put a dollop of caramel in a brown bread, that's the kind of caramel. It kind of comes off a little bit toasty. Comes off a little bit tannic, a little bit. That's your old school hops kind of at play there. Nothing too crazy. I mean, listen, 4.5% pub ale, super chugger, kind of what I live for. I'm not going to sit here and say those are the most electric doses. They're quite pleasing, but at the same time, it's not like it's going to beat down your nostrils. Let's get a nose in this sucker. Similar but muted. And it kind of makes sense when you're dealing with a nitro beer, because you got that much more richer kind of breadiness over here. A lot of times, more often than not, nitro will kind of temper a bit of aromatics or even a bit of flavor, sometimes more specifically kind of bittering and things like that. So you're getting a very similar kind of nose. This might have actually a subtle kind of diacetally buttery thing going on, whereas this one doesn't. But this comes off a little bit crisper, a little bit cleaner, at least on the nose, and just comes off a little bit less impactful. There is a slight, they're both sitting in the same fridge, but this one feels colder, so that could be the same thing at play. But yeah, let's just dive into Mooey. Cheers, y'all. We have dates. We don't have dates. Yeah, honestly, it's exactly what I remember. Everything about Mooey. Not that I'm too long to forget. I was there less than a week ago. Nice. Firm mouthfeel. It's not thin. It's not dense. It's not anywhere in between, close to either edge of those. What you expect from a classic pub ale, just something of subtle substance without being heavy in any form or fashion. That rich brown bready component, that soft little touch of caramel baked in, a little bit of tannic tea-like kind of vibes from those hops, the old school Ken Golding Fugly, whatever they use in this. I forget what they actually use in it. But you're getting that kind of vibe from the beer. And it comes off as a super chugger. Something I want to drink pints and pints of. Not something I want to sit here and yammer about on YouTube, even though I will. It just comes off as just, an ultra chugger, ultra session beer. Just beer drinking beer, for lack of a better term. Or lack of a perfect term. It's beer drinking beer. That's a positive term, not a negative. And exactly what I expect when it comes to ripping open a Mooey. So, I'm just going to dive on over to seed here. Cheers. Okay. Really big difference. Honestly. I think the biggest difference here might be a water chemistry thing. Everything here is sharper. Which is kind of weird when you think about it, because you're thinking nitro beer, you're automatically going to get these kind of softened kind of edges on it, and it's not really the case. The mouthfeel is a little bit tighter. The malts here, while it does show that kind of a brown bready caramel component, there's something a little sharper about it. Same thing on the bittering side of things. Really weird, because you're talking about beer that's set on nitro. You're getting that bittering. You're getting that kind of, that fugly, Ken Golding kind of thing going on, but it's much, much, much sharper. Again, there's no dates on, there's no date on this can. This was canned. I don't see a date on it. It's kind of smudged off there, but maybe there's a time difference in how old these cans are, but I don't think it'd make that big of a difference. Really, the biggest component over here that really sets it apart for me, and like I said, it kind of comes off as a water chemistry thing. There seems to be not a salinity, but more of a minerality to this beer over here. Something's a little bit more squeakier. To put it in cruder terms, have you ever lived in a water softener house? And this is me trying to talk about water chemistry and beer and try to kind of express it in a way that people might make sense to them. If you're not big into beer and kind of talk about just levels of, the balance of everything inside of a beer, just make it as basic as humanly possible. Anyway, if you ever lived in a water conditioner house, and by that I mean like a salt water conditioner, or any house that has hard water and you're trying to condition it, make it soft or stuff like that. If you live in one of those, which I grew up in, didn't live for many years, and now I live in one again, it's basically ultra hard water. Some people hate it, some people don't mind it. I don't really mind it, but my family here really hates it, so we condition the crap out of it, and it ends up just becoming this kind of just again, softer water. When it's harder, it's a little bit more kind of squeaky clean, and you can just feel the difference physically in the way the water kind of flows on you, flows off of you, and the way the soap kind of runs and flows off of you. And that's kind of the way water chemistry works in a beer, especially when it comes to flavor and mouthfeel. And that this comes off as something that has a bit more to it as far as chemistry to it. It's just not a neutral kind of water. It comes off like it's been prepped with a little bit more kind of minerality to it, a little bit more salinity to it. Kind of makes sense. The water table in Bethlehem, I couldn't really speak to how that is. I'm sure Bonn does stuff with their water, as every brewery does. But you're talking about AC, man. That's super salinity water down there. That's something you're going to have to really push, pull, and manipulate in order to get your beers to go a certain way. So it kind of makes sense just from that standpoint for the beers to be a little bit different. To be it this kind of apparently different, to go from this super soft, neutral, just pillowy Pillowy in a malt sense, not pillowy in like a hazy IPA kind of sense. Kind of pub ale. To over here, getting much the same, very similar tasting notes in components to the beer, but have them all come off a little bit sharper, mostly driven by that change in water and a change in water chemistry. This is a really cool kind of combination. I dig this. It's a very fun side-by-side. I think my heart definitely lies in loyalty with the old school Mooey. But this is a very, very fun interpretation of it. And one, like I said, I was chomping at the bit to do, so I'm really happy I got to do it. And Vinny, thank you very much for making it possible. I don't know what else there is to do except for the fantastical Cuvée. Yeah, let's see which one is better, or when you mix them, does that make it the bestest of bestesses? So as far as the beer goes, it looks more like the hazy, nose-wise. Yeah, that little, it's actually more of this nose over here, brown bready components, a little bit of caramel. Dive in. Cheers, y'all. Yeah, I like it. I like them both individually better, but mixed together, it is a perfect kind of combination of the two, and where you get like a little bit more vibrant sharpness, just a touch leaning over in this direction, but it's not as sharp and as soft going in this direction. So it's kind of on the nose, exactly meeting in the middle. Tasty beer nonetheless, but having to choose, I would choose individual. Let's put it that way. But tasty beers nonetheless. Let's talk about this. Bonn Place, have you been there? Let's talk about their beers. Are you a big fan of Bonn? I am. I go there as much as I can. They're just far enough to where I don't get there all the time, but just close enough to where I can pop down whenever I want. One of my favorite places to drink beer, if not my favorite place to drink beer. Super friendly, great beers. And have you had Mooey lately? In a can. Curious. Down there. The Seed. Have you been to the brewery? Have you had a bunch of their beers? Have you had this homage to the old Mooey over there? If you have, down there. Have you done a side-by-side? If so, guess what? Down there. It's all down there. So, there you go. Reviewing the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully you're enjoying ripping some pub ales right now. Hope we'll see you next time. Cheers, y'all.